Puh, es ist ganz schön heiß hier, aber egal, dreh auf. Ich will es auf der Haut brennen spüren. Ja, brennen. Haben die gerade zugeschlossen? Haben die gerade von innen zugeschlossen? Lass mich raus! Ist nicht lustig, lass mich raus! Kleiner Judenwitz am Rande. Wir sind bei Freitagnacht-Juice, um genauer zu sein, sind wir in Türkei. Merhaba! Es ist so ungefähr das Letzte, woran man denkt, wenn jemand sagt Türkei. Ah ja, klar, Juden oder auf Türkisch Yahudile. Hey, ich finde Yahudile klingt süß. Ich will hier explizit mit süßen Sachen beginnen, denn Komplikationen gibt es hier genug. Dazu später mehr. Oh, Entschuldigung. Erste Anekdote. Als Noah mit seiner Arche und den ganzen Tieren um die Weltmeere getuckert ist, was meint ihr? Wo ist er da am Ende gelandet? Genau, ihr habt's geahnt. Auf der Spitze des Berges Ararat. Und wo steht der Berg Ararat? Ja, ihr habt's geahnt. Irgendwo im Grenzgebiet der heutigen Türkei. Nächster Funfact. Die Geschichte des Weihnachtsmanns oder Santa Claus. Wo kommt die her? Genau, die aus der Türkei, ungefähr 280 nach Christus. Ist der Weihnachtsmann eigentlich Jesus Vater oder sein Onkel? Fuck, ich hätte in der Schule echt besser aufpassen sollen. Okay, ich glaube, ich hab jetzt genug. Danke. Ach komm, egal wer wessen Vater ist, wer von wem, wie, wann geschwängert wurde und welcher Jude jetzt im Höllenfeuer brennen muss, habe ich genug gechillt. Auf geht's in eine der krassesten Metropolen der Welt.
Willkommen in Istanbul. Oder wie man hier so schön sagt, Istanbuler, hoş geldiniz! What's up? Guten Tag, Freitag, I'm home, bevor wir beginnen. Shabbat Shalom, I'm your homeboy, alles fresh, alles neu. Habt ihr Fragen an den Juden? Herzlich willkommen. Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, einfach nur ein Wort, aber Antisemitismus ist in Deutschland Sport. What? Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Jude, Friday Night Jew.
Istanbul ist wohl eine der liberalsten Städte in einem Land, welches sich leider in eine ziemlich prekäre Richtung entwickelt.
Immer einengender, konservativer und totalitärer wird die Atmosphäre unter Erdogans AKP-Regierung. Doch bei den letzten Wahlen hat der fantastische Erdogan hier in Istanbul eine krasse Klatsche kassiert. Vor rund 10 Jahren wurde noch über den Beitritt der Türkei in die EU gesprochen. Heute kann man sich das leider nicht mehr so gut vorstellen, zum Leid der Türkinnen und Türken, die sich eine moderne, liberale, weltoffene Türkei wünschen. Aber jetzt gibt's erstmal Turkish History in 60 Seconds. Neolithikum, Hattia, Horita. Yada, yada, yada, yada, yada. 334 vor Christus erobert Alexander der Große ganz Kleinasien. Sein Reich zerfällt. Dann kommt der Hellenismus, gefolgt von den Römern. Dann gab es Fürstentümer und es entstand das Osmanische Reich, welches sich im Laufe seines Bestehens bis nach Wien vorkämpfte, den Nahen Osten und auch Nordafrika unter seine Kontrolle nahm und den Islam verbreitete. Bis es dann, Ende des Ersten Weltkrieges, auch zerfiel. Hey, aufgewacht! Schüchtern, ihr müsst mal zuhören. Der vom Osmanischen Reich begangene Genozid in Armenien, der international als Genozid anerkannt wird, wird von türkischer Regierungsseite als solcher bis heute abgestritten. Aber zur heutigen türkischen Regierung später mehr. Dann kam Mustafa Kemal Atatürk und rief auf dem Staatsgebiet der heutigen Türkei 1923 die Republik aus. Sein Ziel war es, die Türkei in einen modernen, säkularen Staat zu verwandeln. Doch diese Säkularisierung und Modernisierung, die nationalistisch geprägt war, hatte auch zur Folge, dass alle anderen politischen Strömungen sowie Minderheiten weiter unterdrückt wurden. Seit den 1980ern bestimmt unter anderem der Kurdenkonflikt das innenpolitische Klima im Land. Die Kurden kämpfen vergeblich um ein eigenes Staatsgebiet und spätestens seit Präsident Erdogan an der Macht ist, nach einer umstrittenen Reform ein Ein-Mann-System eingeführt hat, der Demokratie- und Meinungsfreiheitsindex der Türkei von Jahr zu Jahr weiter bröckelt, scheint es politisch und gesellschaftlich an vielen Stellen aussichtslos. Doch nicht ganz. Nächstes Jahr sind in der Türkei Wahlen und viele Erstwählerinnen und junge Menschen sehen in der AKP eine korrupte Regierung, eine, die den Islam instrumentalisiert und auf jeden Fall abgeschafft werden muss. Und genau davor hat der kleine, süße Erdogan ein bisschen Angst. Haben wir ein bisschen Angst? Ich hoffe, auch bei uns wird sich was ändern. Denn 2018 wählte ein großer Teil der deutsch-türkischen Community Erdogan. Über 60% stimmten für den kleinen, netten Autokraten. Und das hat großen Einfluss, auch auf die Türkei, denn in Deutschland lebt die größte türkische Community außerhalb des Landes. Aber wie kann das sein? Warum wählen die Leute in Deutschland Erdogan? Einen großen Einfluss hat die Diyanet, die türkische Religionsbehörde, die einst unter Atatürk gegründet wurde und sich in den letzten Jahren leider radikalisiert hat. Ihnen untersteht auch die DİTİB, der größte muslimische Verband Deutschlands. Sie stellen Imame für viele Moscheen in Deutschland. Immer wieder werden sogenannte Antisemitismusvorwürfe laut. Na gut, vielleicht mag es einen auch nicht wundern, wenn Erdogan Juden als Blutsauger beschreibt und der Chef der Diyanet, Ali Erbaş, die LGBTQIA+-Community verteufelt und Hass gegen Minderheiten auf der Tagesordnung steht. Alle Genannten distanzieren sich natürlich ganz klar von Antisemitismus. Zurück in die Türkei. Wir wollen wissen, wie sind die Juden eigentlich hierher gekommen oder auf Türkisch Yahudiler buraya nasıl geldi. Aber vor allem wollen wir wissen, wie lebt es sich eigentlich als Jude in einem mehrheitlich muslimischen Land. Anders als in Europa sind hier 90% der jüdischen Community sephardischer Abstammung. Das heißt, ihre Vorfahren kamen hierher aus Spanien, aus Portugal. Ihr erinnert euch wegen der Inquisition im 15. Jahrhundert, als die Juden Spanien verlassen mussten. Ha? Und sie brachten sogar ihre eigene Sprache mit, Ladino. Sowas wie das Jiddisch der sephardischen Juden, was sogar bis heute in kleinen Teilen gepflegt wird.
Demişsin bende kalan resimleri mektupları istemişsin.
Um besser in die Judenmaterie einzusteigen, treffen wir jetzt jemanden, der sich wohl kaum besser mit jüdischer Geschichte auskennen könnte. Die Leiterin und Kuratorin des Jüdischen Museums hier in Istanbul. Hi, Nisja.
Hi, Daniel.
First question. Do you think that places like the Jewish Museum can help shape a better understanding and therefore create less hostility towards Jews by the general public?
Yes, Jewish Museum of Istanbul helps a lot, and it's the only location that people can take information about the Jewish culture. So it helps the public as well as the Jewish people.
Okay, what's the most surprising fact about Jewish life in Turkey?
After 500 years of time, we still have the Judeo-Spanish language. I think it's quite important to mention.
How would you say the Jews developed their Turkish identity after immigrating here, mainly from Spain and Portugal? Because I suppose you'd say you're Turkish and Jewish, right?
I'm both Turkish and Jewish, also a Sephardic Jew. We had been integrated with the public many years ago, so it's really hard to differentiate one from the other.
How has the perception of or reaction towards Jews and Jewish life in Turkey changed over the recent years, if it has at all?
We are Turkish Jews here, so we need to make the distinction of being Israeli or being Turkish here, because we don't have any power to interfere with the politics of the other countries, and we cannot be the victimized of the wars or the disputes of another country here.
What would have to change to make the Jewish community of Turkey grow again? What do you think is worse, being Jewish in Turkey or Germany?
I don't want to offend anyone.
Thank you for chatting to us, Nisja. Oh, das war mal wieder ziemlich viel Judenkram und ich brauche eine Pause. Ich habe übrigens was richtig Gutes überlegt für diese Folge. Mein Team darf entscheiden, wo und was ich mir hier in Istanbul tätowieren lasse. Ob das eine gute Idee war, weiß ich nicht. Was macht er?
Das kannst du sehen.
Was schreibt er denn? Okay, da steht Kackbratze. So nennen die mich. Mama, es tut mir leid. Ist das ein Herz? Was ist es?
Bitte. Wir durften erteilen.
Das wollte ich immer schon mal haben. Ich wollte immer Jude auf meinem Po. Diese Arschlöcher haben auf meinem Po Jude tätowieren lassen. Warum?
Einmal Jude, immer Jude.
Au! Ja, das war wirklich eine gute Idee. Schaut ans Team, danke für den Freund. Aber zurück zu dem, warum wir eigentlich hier sind. Die Türkei ist das einzige Land auf unserer Reise, welches zu 99% muslimisch ist und das ist was Besonderes. Dass die Türkei mehrheitlich muslimisch ist, ist natürlich keine Besonderheit. Aber seit die AKP-Regierung einen politischen Islam im Fokus hat, ist der Ton gegenüber Jüdinnen und Juden rauer geworden. Auch die Beziehungen zwischen Israel und der Türkei stehen immer wieder kurz vor dem Abbruch. Viele unserer Vorgespräche waren voller Kritik gegenüber dem türkischen Regime. Kritik, die leider unausgesprochen bleiben wird. Aus Angst vor den Konsequenzen. Konsequenz ist auch, dass hier immer weniger Juden leben. Kann man als junger Mensch überhaupt frei seine jüdische Identität entfalten? Mangelt es vielleicht an Role Models? Juden lebten in vielen mehrheitlich muslimischen Ländern. Doch nach der Entstehung Israels und ihrer Vertreibung aus den meisten dieser Länder ist die Türkei wohl eine der letzten Konklaven des jüdischen Lebens in der muslimisch geprägten Welt. Die These mag steil klingen, aber in einem Land, in dem der Islam politisch instrumentalisiert wird, kann es langfristig keine Zukunft für freies jüdisches Leben geben. Nach dieser ganzen Ernsthaftigkeit brauche ich jetzt erstmal eine Wasserpfeife. Und wir sehen uns morgen früh wieder und ich schwöre, es wird gut. Guten Morgen. Bevor es heute Abend beim Talk ziemlich rabiat werden könnte, brauche ich noch mentale und physische Vorbereitung. Und was gibt's Besseres dafür als türkisches Wrestling? Schon mal gemacht? Ich auch nicht. Meine Strategie? Vernichtung. Also eigentlich versuchen, nicht vernichtet zu werden. Also eigentlich alles vier.
Daniel'le güreşe başladığımızda onu yenmem çok kısa sürecek. Gökteki yıldızları onu saydıracağım ona.
Ich habe ihn richtig fertig gemacht und habe mir jetzt was zu essen verdient. Aua.
İstanbul, İstanbul olalı hiç görmedim.
Willkommen im Grand Bazaar von Istanbul. Und wir sind nicht hier wie der Rest meiner osteuropäischen Verwandten, um sich gefälschte Taschen zu kaufen. Nein, wir sind hier, weil ich muss gleich kochen für meine Gäste. Ich habe schon mal was vorbereitet. Und zwar gibt es heute eine ganz besondere Donsker-Spezialität: frittierte Katzenbabys. Na, hast du Lust, frittiert zu werden? Hast du Lust, frittiert zu werden? Natürlich ein Spaß. Die werden nicht frittiert. Die werden gekocht. Bock auf ein kleines Katzentatar? Ja gut, kein Katzentatar. Das werden natürlich Köfte. Also Bulettchen. Also Katzenbaby-Bulettchen. Und damit es richtig zarte Köfte werden, muss man das Fleisch ganz genüsslich zwischen seinen Fingern herumdrücken. Fast als würde man Liebe machen, würde man sagen. Oh ja. Willst auch du von mir gerollt werden, wie dieses Hackfleischbällchen zwischen meinen Handballen? Dann ruf mich an. 0190 90 90. Damit das Ganze hier irgendwie jüdisch wird, soll man das in einer grünen Pflaumensoße kochen. Ich habe die noch nie gemacht, deswegen hoffe ich, es schmeckt. Riecht schon mal gut. Und jetzt kommen diese Katzenbaby-Bällchen, Bulettchen, Köfte in die Pflaumensoße. Schlaft gut, ihr kleinen Katzenbabys. In dieser Show gab es noch nie Dessert, deswegen bei der letzten Folge eine Premiere. Aber da ich keine Ahnung habe, rufe ich meine gute Freundin Vera an. Sie hat ein großes Catering-Unternehmen hier in Istanbul und hat alles, was sie weiß, von ihrer türkisch-jüdischen Großmutter gelernt. Heißt, sie weiß genau, was sie tut. Hey Vera.
Hi Daniel.
How are you?
All good, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I need to make a Turkish dessert. What should I make?
Test pişti.
Sorry, what?
Test pişti.
Tespish?
Test pişti.
Tespish what?
Test pişti.
Okay, what do I need for that?
Oranges.
Whoa! Whoa!
Almonds. Sugar. Eggs. Oh,
Do you
Daniel.
have another one? Thank you.
Baking powder. And water.
Whoa! Thank you, Vera.
Cook the oranges in the water until they're very soft. And then you put all the ingredients in the blender, mix them until they become a dough, and put them in a tray and cook it in the oven. Good luck and afiyet olsun.
Okay, ich probiere. Das habe ich wie immer sehr schön gemacht. So, das räumt jetzt jemand auf, oder? Weil ich habe Gäste. Ich würde es total machen. Ja, klar. Ich habe Gäste. Wirklich, ich würde es. Danke. Danke. Ciao.
Und da kommen auch schon meine Gästinnen, Ella und Ellie. Also quasi die Bibi und Tina dieser Staffel. Oder vielleicht doch eher Hanni und Nanni? Aber vielleicht höre ich besser auf mit den Witzen, denn das kann hier bekanntlich im Knast enden. Und apropos Justiz. Ella, in gut jüdischer Manier ist sie Anwältin. Hat eine eigene Kanzlei gegründet, kümmert sich um alles von Hate Speech bis zu Entführungen von Kindern. Sie beschreibt sich selbst als fürsorglich, aber auch spirituell. Weiter geht's mit Nanni, Ellie. Was für eine Lockenpracht. Da könnte ich ja fast neidisch werden. Aber nicht nur seine Locken haben uns dazu gebracht, ihn einzuladen, sondern vor allem seine Gedanken. Ellie beschreibt sich selbst als wandelbarer Wanderer. Und er war viel unterwegs, hat in den USA studiert und ist nach dem Studium zurück in die Türkei gekehrt. Gerade in diesem Land ist es bestimmt nicht immer einfach, sich als Freiheitskämpfer zu beschreiben. Und als wäre das noch nicht genug, ist Ellie auch noch künstlerisch tätig. Er ist Designer. Ein kosmischer Designer, um genau zu sein. Das klingt doch alles nach geballter intellektueller Power am Tisch. Und nachdem ich mit meinen Muckis heute beim Wrestling nicht so viel gerissen habe, hoffe ich jetzt zumindest kognitiv mithalten zu können.
Hello, lovely people. I'm sorry I've starved you for so long. I'm bringing food. It's reconciliation.
Wonderful.
Thank
Thank you.
God.
How are you?
Great, great. How are you?
I'm very well. I think you're you have the most Jewish names I've ever had on the show. Ella and Ellie. So what, would it be the female god, Ella, like a female god?
Yeah, in Israel they think I'm Ella, like the goddess, and I pretend I'm Ella, but it's Ella. In Turkish, it's with one L, and in Hebrew it means tree. So I take them all. I'm the goddess.
You take
tree.
them all, the goddess, the trees, and you're Eli, which means my God.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, before we go into God and all those things that are so serious we need to eat. So, we have some burekas, some köfte. I hope they're good. I can't promise. So I think let's go with those. I think,
They look
right?
good. Yeah,
Do they look
thank
good?
you.
They look good. They
I
must
think
taste
so.
good.
I'm going to judge by your faces if it's good or not.
Thank you.
1, 2, 3.
The sound, the taste, the texture. 10 out of 10.
10 out of
I like
10 out of 10.
9.9.
Okay, what's the
You're not a
0.1?
grandma.
Sure.
Jewish grandma.
We're here in Turkey with the show. People ask me, where are you from? Because we're filming on the streets. They're like, what are you filming? I go, we're filming the show for German television. They go, oh, where are you from? I go, I'm from Germany. And they ask, oh, so you're German? And I go, no, actually, it's much more complicated. If somebody asks you, where are you from, what do you say?
Oh my God. It will be a long story, a bit like yours. I mean, I will say I'm Turkish, but I have Portuguese passport. I lived in Luxembourg, and so it's more than only Turkish. I guess it's something about being Jewish and all these stories we carry on our shoulders.
But if it's a dinner party, you're like literally at this like drinks, and we go, oh, where are you from?
Depends on the guy I meet.
Okay, okay. Oh, okay.
Sometimes
Straight
I'm
on with the juicy
Portuguese.
details, okay. Portuguese is
Sometimes
cooler.
Turkish is... No, I mostly go with Turkish.
Before the show, we had a tiny little bit of chat, and you were telling me that your ancestors actually came from Syria, immigrated to Turkey. But given the fact that Aleppo has been in the headlines like for so long over the last years, Syria, people fleeing everywhere, people fleeing their home countries, going all over the world. Do you feel connected when you hear stories about people fleeing their hometowns? Does that ring a bell?
I feel for them. I mean, I really feel like the need to help and do whatever I can to support the communities being expelled. And It's also connected to Judaism, of course. Like, I guess it's somehow in our genes, like to move
sure.
from one place to another.
But what does that mean? Because people always describe the Jews, or like wherever they like put them in the community, they go, oh yeah, you're the people who move around from place to place.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's more personal. I love traveling. It's just, I went to Japan and Africa. Like, I love to
So basically,
discover.
you're Japanese, African, Luxembourg, Jew on the run, and a world citizen.
I could call myself that. Yeah, I would be happy and proud to see
I feel like your
myself
plates are
that
too
way.
empty. We need to eat. We need to eat. We need to eat. Okay, I'm gonna serve you now this fantastic thing.
Okay.
It's in a plum sauce.
Wow.
A green plum sauce that apparently has very big tradition in the Sephardic Jewish community. So please correct me if I'm wrong.
Actually, we did use plum sauce, but
Okay.
not for köfte. There's a specific dish called kashkarikas, which is made with
Thank you.
skins of
Just to
squash.
taste.
Wow, that hurt.
Thank you.
Ich habe nur 2 Köfte welche auf den Teller getan und sie hat schon gesagt, nein. No, that's all right. No, don't worry at all. It's fine that you came here not hungry. You're not like Jewish guilt. No, are you sure you don't want more?
Do you know my mom?
I have been cooking all day. But it's fine, it's
Now
totally
I see
fine.
my mom is like.
Yeah, I'm going
sorry.
to give you the whole Jewish guilt thing.
Yeah.
The plum sauce is really good. Yeah.
Also ich glaube, ich habe schon bessere Sachen in meinem Leben gekocht. I have to confess, I think I've cooked better meals.
Yeah.
The plum sauce is really good. The meat could do with a bit more taste. I'd give it a solid 6 out of 10.
Okay.
You?
You've
I'm
said
being
enough.
diplomatic.
She's a lawyer. She's a lawyer, of course.
I'm not that into grading.
So one of the themes that is in particular of interest to me while coming to Turkey is that the majority of other countries had majority, or at least half and half, Ashkenazi and Sephardic Jews, meaning Jews from Eastern Europe, whereas here at the moment, more than 90% of the community are Sephardic Jews or Mizrahi Jews. 98.
Yeah. There are only like 400 Ashkenazim, and the rest is Sephardim.
But looking at the world, or at the mainstream media, Jews are normally portrayed as like kind of white or American, or like they just look like everyone else. Their nose is a little bit bigger, and sometimes they have horns and they like money a lot. But other than that, do you ever feel to be a minority within a minority? Did you ever think about that fact?
I like that you brought it up, because my Jewish experience was always being a minority in a minority.
Okay.
Not necessarily, well, as a Jew, you're already a minority. Sephardic Jew, you're a minority in the Jewish world. And I always felt like, you know, a lot of my ideas or the way I experienced Judaism hasn't necessarily been similar to everyone. So this constant being a minority of minority of minority has affected me throughout my life, my personality, my practice, my perspective in terms of philosophical perspective.
How did it shape it? Like, how did you feel? Could you give us an example?
Yeah, it's difficult, but let me try. If I'm within a group of Jewish people, sometimes my opinions don't really match, or.
But that, you know, 10 Jews, 140 opinions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Also, my Jewish role models are also the type of people who have been minorities within the minority, like.
Who are you talking about?
My role models, for
Yes, who are
example, it could be, let's say, the philosopher Spinoza, who has been expelled from the Portuguese Jewish community in Amsterdam. And he was also a Sephardic Jew, beginning of the Enlightenment age, and his opinions about God, although he wouldn't consider himself atheist, his opinions were very much like, well, God is equal to nature. And he's not a dude talking in the sky and giving directions.
What?
Surprise, yeah.
Oh my God, really?
And his opinion about God was, for me, way more friendly, less more patriarchal, and for some reason it resonates more. And one role model was him. And for example, Moses. Also
Moses
a good
is a
role model.
But that means you like to go to the Red Sea. You
Not that
like
type of
to
moral.
hit stones with wooden sticks and hope that water comes out.
My role model, Moses, is the Moses that Freud was writing about, who is actually an ancient Egyptian. Yeah, according to Freud, Moses was an ancient Egyptian who followed a tradition coming from an ancient Egypt pharaoh who believed in almost like a monotheistic system. Anyways, he chose Jewish people, and he said, well, I'm going to take my own traditions who come from Akhenaton, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to give them to Jewish people, and they'll think it's theirs, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so he was a revolutionary person, actually, who made them escape slavery. I think what I'm trying to emphasize about his character is that he's the character who drove other people to freedom. He showed them the way.
Created change. How did you find that philosophy is the way to find answers for you? Like, what drew you to that? Is it like a fact that you maybe didn't find role models within the community or society you were living in?
Yeah, I think that's part of being a minority within a minority. The society that I lived in, I didn't find myself, as you said, any role models that I could, go towards, and I wasn't affected by them. On the other hand, these people who are dead, their thoughts resonated way more. And,
but the society you grew up in, are you referencing now like the Jewish community?
Turkish Jewish community specifically, yeah. Okay. And the way they talked about religion didn't mean much to me. And I guess the institution itself wasn't lighting that fire for me, but the idea of God or thinking about a God, considering it as a narrative rather than a literal figure.
Binding kind of like physical.
Yeah, exactly. Just or seeing it, seeing the book as a metaphor, or like just different way to approach the book.
Of course.
You can only do that with the help of philosophy. Otherwise, you have to believe in a talking snake, and I think you need to see a shrink.
Some people might differ. How was it for you? I don't know.
Okay.
When you grew up, like, how was religion a part of your bringing up?
My family was relatively liberal, but the time I spent in Luxembourg, it really brought me closer to my Jewish identity, because it was beautiful. I mean, I was going to Chabad every Friday, and each time I went there, I met new people, and I don't remember a Shabbat that I spent alone. And believe me, I was really alone there. Like, it was only me.
And that was the first time for you experiencing kind of like liberal...
I was shocked, I'm telling you. I mean, there was this woman singing, and I didn't know she was the rabbi. She had this guitar.
So it didn't make sense to you?
I just couldn't get it. And she was singing and playing the guitar, and I remember asking a friend of mine, like, who is she? Why is she singing in a synagogue? Because for me, you would only sing in a church, and men and women wouldn't mix up. And
so that part brought you closer to Judaism because you could grasp it better than the patriarchic, let's say, conservative way?
Yeah. I think so.
Did you ever look specifically for something you can bring back, or like implement those thoughts in the community here?
Of course, a lot. I mean, the community here, I think, is already vibrant, like, despite the decline in the recent years, but still, like, they are trying to introduce Jewish life and work on Galata Culture Days, and also public Hanukkah celebrations, which is something big for Turkey.
Did you connect to Judaism, maybe outside of Turkey, in a different way?
My Turkish Jewish experience when I was living here before moving to Chicago for a master's degree was, I was growing up in a Jewish, not a neighborhood, but like we had this island where there was a lot of Jewish people who would go.
An island with only Jews?
Not only Jews,
Germany would call that a ghetto.
I know. Well, in Turkey, sometimes we call that island ghetto as well.
Oh, die Türkei und Deutschland sind sich doch sehr ähnlich.
Are you talking Princess Island?
Yeah, we had this, now it's a little different, but we used to hang out together with Jewish friends. And,
also wenn ich in ein Ghetto müsste, würde ich aufs Prinzessinnen-Ghetto gehen. Das klingt irgendwie ganz gut.
We were allowed to get out. That was the different part.
No. They were caught there against their will. Give us. We need the emotions, and it's Germany. We need the whole kind of like, oh, it was so sad. It was terrible, right? Yeah. Terrible. Against your will, you were held on this beautiful island called the Princess.
Oh man, it was I'm not religious, so it was for me hanging out with Jewish people, celebrating Jewish holidays with family, very basic stuff. But when I moved to Chicago, the social aspect completely disappeared, and I didn't want to go to any organizations or anything because I didn't feel like I belonged there, and I chose to, turn my identity into more like a spiritual guide a personal spiritual guide, or not necessarily in a religious way, but looking at Jewish thinkers, philosophers, you know, important figures.
But what were you first in Chicago? Were you Turkish or Jewish?
I don't believe an identity is a stable thing. This could be gender, this could be nation, this could be religious. I feel like I'm fluid in many things. And
what did the others perceive you as? Let's talk not about your perception,
that's
perception
right,
from the others.
And in America, people try to be careful and they try to address you with the right pronoun, right identity, blah, blah, blah. So they ask me first.
He, him, Turkish, Jewish.
I'm like, oh, what's your name? I'm like, Elia, where are you from? I'm from Turkey. Oh, you're Turkish. Are you Muslim? No, I'm Jewish. And they're like, what? Are that Jews? This is like the most...
Is that the normal conversation?
Yeah, it's like I want to kind of write it down and give it to them so they read it and then they... Because I was
tattoo
kind
it.
of yeah, just tattoo it and show
Hi,
it.
Eli, Turkish, Jewish. Yes, we exist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, when we start, and then they go, oh, how do you feel? I'm like, I feel like myself. I mean, there are times that I feel Jewish. There are times that I feel Turkish.
Yeah.
I don't stick any of them on me. And I don't believe that I have to choose one, or I don't believe that I have to discard another.
That really sounds strong. I mean, in Turkey, like they perceive you as Turkish as well, even if you are Jewish. I mean, it's because we go to the same schools, we get the same education, and we all love Atatürk, and we believe that Turkey is secular, and there's a certain distinguishment between the state and religion. So, I mean, it's not that common that everybody wears their religion on their sleeve.
Of course not.
And, but still, it gives its citizens the chance to express themselves and their religion in a free way, because it's, Turkey is a secular state.
How much do you feel like, do you even get like, would you even get a question in Turkey like, by Turkish people, what, there are Jews in Turkey? I suppose there are some Turkish people who might not know.
There are some Turkish people who have never met a Jew before, actually. There was a research about it. I think it's really great because, you know, I'm this person who always tries to focus on the positive and see the bright side. It's a good opportunity to start a positive dialogue and to make yourself heard, or introduce yourself.
That's good. I tend to, if somebody never met a Jew, I will go in with like the worst stereotype. And I really try to convince the person that it's true. So I was in London.
What kind of stereotypes? Tell us.
We were talking about Passover, and I was like, yeah, we're making the matzah, and we need some blood, you know. Because Jews do that.
Oh, my God.
And we hope for donations. Some families are kind enough to donate the blood of their children.
Oh.
And then we use that. And literally, this girl was looking at me like, are you for real? And I think at some point I stopped it, but I was like, going further and further, it's really interesting because that's how you can implement into people the perception of what Jewish means.
I can picture you with that serious face,
right?
And I mean, very good actor.
You say you're looking at the positive side, so if somebody like never met a Jew, and they would ask you, because we all spoke about what it means to be Jewish, and they ask you, oh, crazy, you're a Jew, like, what does that mean for you?
There are many ways to explain other than blood-sucking or...
No, blood-sucking children? I love blood, I don't know. I think the children, I don't know, I just love it.
There's something about children that you like?
Der hat richtig gesessen. No.
Just the blood?
No, it's just the blood.
Okay, okay.
Have you heard of Shumanim? Like, you know, there are these people... it keeps you young.
It keeps you young.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
It's all about youth and age.
Yeah. And the younger the better, because then, you know, I'm actually 350 years old.
Don't say that.
I'm going to stop now. Oh, my God. This went sour really bad. I don't know. I was really trying to keep
Can you say that on German TV? I mean...
The director will probably cut this out. But we'll see how it goes. But actually, I want to play a game with you. And it's a game of guesses. I've brought you some sentences from Germany. Some of them might even have some Yiddish background, some are just regional accents, and you need to guess what that might mean.
I love games.
You love games?
I love games.
Okay, first one.
Yes.
For you.
Okay.
Ist deine Ische mit Sugar?
Please give me some sugar. Or you're very sweet. You're sugary.
One more, you have one more?
You taste like sugar. I like
almost
your
as
taste.
nice. Ist deine Ische mit Sugar would mean, is your wife crazy?
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. Ische is actually Yiddish. Isha comes from Hebrew. And Meshuga, Meshuga.
Meshuga.
Yeah, and it's a Yiddish thing in German language?
It sounded so sweet.
Sounded sweet,
I
right?
can't believe.
Sugar. Okay. Warum muss ich hier Schmiere stehen?
Why should I? I'm gonna make this shit up. Why should I? I have no idea.
Schmiere stehen. What could that mean?
Schmiere stehen.
Schmiere stehen.
Let it go, let's say. Something like that.
Almost. Why do you have to guard this? Schmiere stehen is German, but it comes from Yiddish, from shmira, lishmor. I keep, I save. Schmiere stehen, if somebody steals something, there's one other guy
okay.
outside the shop looking that no one comes, that's Schmiere stehen.
Okay.
Wow.
This one's from Berlin. Ran an die Buletten.
Huh? What?
Ran an die Buletten.
I'm not gonna let anyone say that to me. Sounds like you're cursing my
sound
mom.
scary. Ran an die Buletten. Komm, ran an die Buletten. Ran an die Buletten. What could that mean?
Hurry up.
And I'm
like,
triggered again.
Yeah?
Just do whatever you should do and leave me alone.
I see scare and angst in the face. Ran an die Buletten. Die Ran an die Buletten means literally, let's eat, like, let's go and get the köfte. Bulette is like the köfte in German, but it actually means like, let's go. So
Okay.
ran an die Buletten. You want some more köfte, actually, by the way? Could I? No?
I have some köfte in my plate.
That's very
thanks.
interesting that you both still have the köfte in your plate.
Yeah, I don't want to finish it. I don't want to.
Because you don't want
yeah.
it to end.
Yeah, I want it
Today
to.
I'm a vegetarian.
I know the thing is, I can pack the köfte for you, so
Doggy
you can
time.
take them home.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you can
You're so
enjoy
kind.
them. Oh, nice. He ate the meat. Oh. Okay, next one.
Alright.
If somebody would tell you, magst du mir das Schnäppele Schlotze? Magst du mir das Schnäppele Schlotze? Was könnte das bedeuten? What could that mean?
Do you still love me?
Sounds like you make me uncomfortable.
You make me uncomfortable. Okay, so
still
we're
like
between
me?
you still love me and you make me uncomfortable. So, magst du mir das Schnäppele Schlotze is from Schwaben, which is a part in Germany, and that's a very, very slang way for asking somebody to orally pleasure you. So you make me uncomfortable
Yeah,
could
just
be one of
make
those
me-
meanings.
Where's the
Yeah.
Or,
meatball?
okay. Next one. Ich will mit euch Tacheles reden. What could that mean?
I don't want to see you anymore.
What is your guess?
You are on my list.
Yeah.
Dude,
Perfectly
you
fitting
bumped into like
Yeah, you bumped into the actual thing.
real Turks, you know?
Real Turks, you're on my list. I don't want to see you anymore. So ich muss mit euch Tacheles reden. Tacheles, again, comes from Yiddish. Tacheles means to talk serious. So kind of the lines, I need to speak in a serious matter with you.
See, I
Okay.
got close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, the last one is from Bavaria. And it sounds like this. Scheiß da nix, dann feiß da nix.
Whatever comes, I'll take it. It's okay.
Shut.
Scheiß da nix, dann feiß da nix.
Shy sounds like shit, but
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Ooh, close, you're getting close.
Whatever
It's very
shit.
warm, yeah. It's a warm turn.
Shit's nothing. Nothing is shit.
That's Spinoza, no?
Pretty
Yeah,
close
very
to Spinoza.
like.
It's you were almost right. It means don't think about it and nothing will happen.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty
Sarah,
close.
Sarah.
It's just like a more poetic way of
Let's play
expressing it.
more. I'm getting better.
You're
I like
getting
this
into it now?
game, yeah.
Okay, okay. Ich wünsche dir Hals- und Beinbruch.
What do you think?
I want to eat your ass in the corner.
Yes! Almost. I mean, the funny thing is the literal meaning and the meaning what it means are very far apart.
Okay.
Tell
Ich
me.
wünsche dir Hals- und Beinbruch means I wish you to break your leg and your neck.
Oh, wow.
But it actually means I wish you luck in Germany.
Oh, okay.
Because it comes from Hatzlacha ve'bracha. Hatzlacha, it's success, and bracha is blessing
yeah.
in Hebrew
I
or in
know,
Yiddish.
yeah.
And the Germans kind of used it and made from success and luck, they made, I wish you to fucking break your fucking legs and your fucking neck. And that means I wish you good luck. It's a
wow.
very German way of being nice and kind and emotional.
I moved.
Okay, I want one from you. Tell me something in Turkish, each of you, and I need to guess what it means.
I'll start with an easy one because
Okay.
we have so many expressions. I
Okay.
can go until the morning.
There's a lot of kafta in us.
Ah, thanks. I'm so thankful. Sona kalan dona kalır.
Again?
Sona kalan dona kalır.
Sona kala dona kadar? The sun is rising in the east. every morning.
not even close.
What did it mean?
So if you're lost for something,
Yeah.
you just freeze. I mean, this is the literal meaning, but it means like, let's say there's not enough köfte and
Yeah.
you're the last one to come
There
and
was
eat
enough.
it.
There was enough. You could...
And then you just lose it. You can't have
Say it
any
again.
more köfte. Sona kalan dona kalır.
Sonuna kalan dola kalır.
Yeah, like it's like first come, first serve. That could be a
First come, first
translation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
You go ahead. I'm curious what you're
Yeah,
going to come up with.
Şanssız bedeviye çölde kutup ayısı sikermiş.
Oh my god. He's good.
I want to fuck you up so bad you're never going to wake up again.
I wish. No. It means no. Unlucky Bedouin is fucked by a polar bear in the desert. That's actually a Turkish saying.
And, sorry, an unlucky...
Unlucky Bedouin
is fucked
is
by a
fucked by a
polar
polar bear
bear
in the
But
desert.
tell him
Ein
what it
einsam,
means.
Entschuldigung, ein Unglück, nee, ein, wie sagt man?
Unglücklich, ja.
Ein unglücklicher
Ja.
Beduine wird von einem Eisbären in der Wüste gefickt. That's a really nice one.
But tell him what it
Chance-
means. Like,
Yeah,
Ah, what does it mean?
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, it's just a phrase that is used for explaining how unlucky you are.
Poor Bedouin people, they're being used to...
If you're so unlucky that
And you're the
Content
Bedouin
is
who's being
better
fucked
than
in the desert by the
a
polar bear.
yeah.
How unlucky can you get?
Turkish is unbelievable.
I
So
love
many
that.
expressions, idioms. My friends
Yeah, a lot
in
of cursing,
Luxembourg,
yeah.
they were sick of me because something happens and I'm like, there's this Turkish saying, and they're like, what the fuck is she talking about? We don't care about Turkish or what you say in Turkish, because I was doing the chicken translation all the time, like
Okay.
trying to find an expression for every situation.
Why it's funny, that's the worst when you can't explain it. It's funny, you need to understand it's
Yeah,
funny.
exactly. It's funny.
There are some questions that I asked my audience from Germany to ask you guys. So, ich habe euch gebeten, ein paar Fragen zu schicken, die ich an meine Gäste jetzt weiterleiten darf. I've asked my audience from Germany to ask you some questions, and I'm going to be the mediator. I'm going to be the person bringing the question from Germany to Turkey. The German audience wants to know, do you feel that when you come as a person to Turkey, Jewish life is at all visible?
There are some efforts to increase the visibility. You know, you have some activities. There is the Jewish Museum. There is this big synagogue, Neva Shalom, and but I think more could be done to increase the visibility.
We should
by
put the
time.
Stars of David everywhere.
Yeah, try that.
On people, that really works.
The yellow
really
ones?
works. Yeah, yellow. Yeah.
Have you ever tried it anywhere?
Do you want a secret that no
Yes,
one is allowed?
please.
I got a tattoo. I would have to literally
Why?
show you my. I got a tattoo yesterday.
Show us.
Yeah, I can't really show you. I'm gonna show you.
I'm
For real.
Do I need to eat that too?
No, you don't. But I literally got a tattoo because it's the last time we're doing the show. Look what I got.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
Tattoo.
See, here.
Jewish ass.
Again,
Smart.
I'm not too sure this was
Visibility.
very smart. Visibility is important. So if you ever come to Berlin, I walk around naked all the time just to like show people that I'm a Jew.
There's no problem
Oh
with
my God, it's getting
visibility.
worse and worse. I don't know what I've done to myself in those 2 years of the show. I think I'm schizophrenic, paranoid, but kind of happy.
You're
so Jewish.
Jewish.
Jewish.
Yeah.
Okay, one more question from Germany towards you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how dateable are Turkish Jews? For who? For you! Both are like, okay, die Frage muss ziemlich hart für die beiden sein.
I'm still single, so my reply would be
If anyone is looking, we can facilitate any, come on,
Mitzvah.
introduce us. Because it's a
Tell
good
about
deed, of course,
yourself,
it's a good
yeah.
deed. Okay. If you had to pick, and you could have one wish for what you would like to change for Jewish life in Turkey, what would it be?
I would like people my age, like younger people, to be more involved. I've been trying to do that since I came back, talking to people, my friends from all sorts of networks, and that would be something worth changing for the future.
What for you?
Yeah, I think there's this attitude of hiding things, and there's this attitude of not talking about things. And I think, as a person who have lived in Germany, it is probably a little less relatable because, well, maybe it is relatable because in Germany it's all about accepting the history,
Yeah.
accepting and apologizing for it.
Exactly.
And
You
I'm not
You
saying
better keep
apologize
apologizing.
yeah,
so
well,
much.
at the same time, you know, you see people jumping on the Holocaust memorial, but still,
Absolutely.
at least the government's official policy is to, accept and apologize and blah, blah, blah. In Turkey, I don't think we're there yet. I wish, not only for Turks, not only for Jews, but for all the minorities, the things that have been done should be acknowledged and should be stated in a proper language. And I don't care about an apology, but I need it to, at least to be stated that these were wrong.
Yeah.
An apology is not going to bring anything. I don't care. But at least I don't want to read another book about the tax of existence, which was in 40s.
Yeah.
That was a tax that was heavily on Jews and other non-Muslims as well. And I saw a book recently written about it, and it was advertised by a bookshop that just by apartment, and it said that, oh, it was a fair tax, and the, minorities didn't have to pay more that much, but it's all bullshit. And I think there has to be a common sense that people understand that this book is bullshit.
Yeah.
And so in general, some sort of
acceptance,
facing
tolerance, and maybe like a boundary towards.
Yeah, a boundary and understanding, acceptance again. Yeah. I think that's what I would have loved to change.
That's beautiful. Both are very beautiful things, and I hope you will get it the next time I'm going to visit Istanbul. The Jewish community will be younger, more flourishing. Inshallah, absolutely. There will be boundaries, rules.
And better kefte.
Oh my
God. Ow! Ow! On that note, thank you so much for being my guest today. Thank you. Das war unsere Folge Freitagnacht-Juice aus Istanbul. Wenn ihr mitdiskutieren wollt, unter dem Hashtag Freitagnacht-Juice, überall, wo es Juden gibt. Danke fürs Zuschauen und how do you say bye-bye?
Güle güle.
Güle güle.